Well, all right. We should be live and we should be recording. So, everyone, thank you for coming and welcome to the first of hopefully many interviews of NGSO members. This is, of course, the Norwalk Gamer Symphony Orchestra, as you can see above my head here. And my guest, the first guest, the so-called guinea pig of the entire project, is Mary. Mary, how are you doing tonight?
Yeah, I'm doing good, Mike. Excited to be here. Happy to talk about some music and talk about some games.
Yeah, we are all about games and music here in this gaming and music-based group. So this is an idea that several people in the NGSO had to kind of get to know members of the orchestra better. We had these kind of brainstorming about these for years, I want to say, but now that the coronavirus is upon us and we are no longer able to gather in person, we figured this would be a great time to do something digital like this. So, Mary, once again, thank you for being the first person to do this interview with me. Why don't we get started with a nice softball question? Tell us just a little bit about yourself. I have down here, what's your name? But what's your name and who are you? And what are you doing here on my computer screen?
Well, my name's Mary. I know, really challenging name right there.
Ooh,
I'm in the Norwalk Gamer Symphony Orchestra. I play the flute, piccolo, tenor recorder. I conduct, and my main instrument, I would have to say, is the castanets.
yep,
Uh,
definitely.
my claim to flame, my claim to flame, my claim to fame easily would be my one castanet solo in
Exactly.
Octopath Traveler.
In the Octopath
But
Traveler.
yeah, joined the Gamer Orchestra about 3 years ago, which is crazy. 3 years ago, borderline 3.5, but pretty close to three. Um, it is one of my favorite things to do outside of work, not to be melodramatic, but when I moved to Norwalk, I was here and I moved alone. And I would just sit in my apartment after work and play games like Persona 5, which was great. But eventually, I was starting to get a little bummed, so I Googled nearby community orchestras, and now 3 years later, here I am.
And this
Um,
isn't, not to butt into your story, but this isn't the only community orchestra that you're a member of, right?
no, I'm also in the Westport Community Band, which was the first band I joined. I think I joined that in February 2017, and then I joined the Norwalk Gamer Symphony Orchestra in May because one band wasn't enough to fill my time. Apparently, I had to have two. But not to compare the two. I mean, the Westport Community Band is awesome. It's mostly older people, like retired people,
Yeah.
which is so cool because like cute old people are the best. But but I really they do mostly concert band fare, which is what I play have been playing my whole life. So
Yeah.
your marches, your symphonic suites and stuff like that. So having a change in the gamer orchestra, one being the audience, it's a lot of people my age. I guess
Mm.
it's just more diverse in general. In the Westport community band, we have once a month under 35 nights where all the people under 35 get dinner, and there's like 7 or 8 of us there. So
Out
having
of how many total?
we have probably 70 players.
Yeah.
So having people my age with the same interest as me all playing together in a really collaborative space is super awesome. And also the music's a lot different too.
Hmm.
More symphonic rock as opposed to classical symphonic, if that's even a thing. So
Yeah.
I like to say that I have broadened my musical horizons by being in two community groups, all within 10 minutes of each other.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the wonderful thing about community groups is that they're a community. And I do want to say in your intro, you missed one important contribution you've made. You've provided vocals on at least two pieces that I can think of. You've sung in the choir for our Tetris piece for Koro Bayaniki, and you read for my Metroid piece. You read the part of Samus.
Yes, and I sang Bastion. Got it.
Bastion, yeah, that one
I
too.
grabbed the answer from the air. I played Bastion.
Yeah, so awesome story, awesome to hear. And yeah, I mean, I share a lot of the same experiences and feelings as you do. The NGSO is definitely one of my closest groups of friends and one of my favorite things to do outside of work when we can do it. Um, so let's shift gears a little bit. Let's talk a little bit more generic before we dive back into video games and music. Below us, below me, you can see my gamer tag, which many people will know, Ganon11, and below you is your gamer tag. For the people who aren't reading and are maybe just listening, what's your gamer tag? And then maybe tell a little bit about why you chose that as your gamer tag. Why does that represent you?
Trying to embarrass me, Gannon.
You're the one that
Um,
answered this.
and so my friends and I, we play this game. It's kind of like a card game, and if you answer yes or no to something, you have to like drink or do a stunt or whatever. And the one question is, who has the most embarrassing first email address? And my
Hmm.
gamer tag is my first email address. And everyone votes for me, but I'm not embarrassed at all because I am a diehard and I will die by this. My gamer tag is Kenshin's Girl, Kenshins Girl,
Okay, spelled it
because
correctly. Good.
because I love Rurouni Kenshin.
You were
I
prepared.
conveniently have a volume on my bed. It was the first manga slash anime I really got into that kind of took over my life. I am a gamer. I am also a huge weeb, high functioning weeb, not low functioning weeb, but still a weeb. So I'm Kenshin's Girl on PlayStation 4, and I'm Batosai, which is also a Rurouni Kenshin reference on the Switch.
Gotcha.
So,
So you have a myriad of usernames, and I think your Twitter handle is different. You don't have to share that if you don't want to, but it is yet another
oh, yeah,
really relevant one.
that's not really a nerd reference. That's moves
No.
like AWAD. And
Mhm.
it's because at my prom, my friends rewrote the words to moves like Jagger and sang it to me. So I've kind of just taken
Perfect.
that, which is
That
stupid,
must
but
be a
whatever.
good memory. That's a thing you
Yeah,
shouldn't be embarrassed about.
it was fun.
Um, well, cool. The next question here, you've already answered. What instruments do you play? We talked about you played the flute, you played the piccolo, the tenor recorder, the castanets, vocals, and conducting. Is there anything else we missed? Six things. Not very multi-talented, clearly. He said
I'm
very
a,
sarcastically.
I'm
Um,
pretty good at a few of them.
which ones would you say you're good at?
Oh, I'm actually not very good at the castanets. The 30-second notes are so hard, and I can't move my hands fast enough.
Mhm.
So not that.
So
I
what you
think
said earlier was a lie. So you lied to us earlier.
we had to start the episode with a good hook. Who doesn't like a
That's right.
spunky castanets player?
That's right.
I like to say I'm more than fine at the flute. That's my first instrument. It's my primary instrument. It's the instrument I play the most through happiness, sadness, and pain. So definitely my favorite. Kind of wish I was better at the piccolo. I didn't.
Mhm.
I took a break from the piccolo for like 10 years, and then just picked it up for this group because no one really likes the piccolo. So I really like playing it. I wish I had a better piccolo, like physical instrument. I feel like that's would help me, but that's also a really good excuse. So I
Yeah.
should just be better at it myself.
And the piccolo is
But
one of the few instruments that you have available to you right now, right? Because of a story that maybe we'll get into later, or maybe we'll get into right now.
yes, my
So,
piccolo is right over there. I do have my tenor recorder right here.
okay.
So that is grabbable, but we
And
don't
you
want
are
to.
and you are practicing those regularly, right? In these lockdown quarantine times, you are
I,
regularly picking those up. As much as I'm practicing
yes,
my guitar.
I am practicing the recorder probably once or twice a week. I can't play my
Right.
piccolo because I live in an apartment and it would kill everyone. So
You can go
I
outside.
just
You can play it
have
outside.
yeah, I just have my recorder that I'll just play Arrow's theme really fit fast and then put it down.
Mm.
But better than nothing.
Maybe
Oh,
you can play.
and
Yeah.
I'm playing a lot of rhythm games. I
Hmm.
got all the Persona rhythm games, and I've been playing the Hatsune Miku rhythm games. And guys, like PSA, that is so good for sight reading rhythms. Like I was
Hmm.
playing last night, and I feel myself like just being able to anticipate the beat more and getting better. So if you can't play your instrument, download a rhythm game. They're like super good.
Plus, they have Hatsune Miku in them. All
Yes.
right. Well, why don't we talk a little bit more closely about the NGSO? The NGSO, we already talked about, is different from your average everyday community orchestra or community symphony group in that we play video game music. So let's talk video games. What are some of your favorite video games? Now, this is a much higher pressure question than I originally anticipated, as almost every single person I've asked this has come back to me and said, "Mike, you can't ask me to pick favorites. They're like my children." So this is not a top 10 list. It's not a top 5 list. You're not drawing any hard lines in the sand. This is just some of your favorite video games. So, Mary, what are some of your favorite video games?
Well, I don't know if you guys can see this giant reference up in here, but I'm surrounded by Persona 5. In the last couple of years, that has easily taken over my life and been my
Mhm.
favorite game.
When did
Um,
Persona 5 come out?
2016
I can't believe it's been that long.
in Japan, maybe early 2017 in America. I played it. It was my first summer living alone, and it was a great summer.
You weren't alone. You were joined by Joker and Lady On and all the other
I,
characters from the game that I haven't actually played.
I had fun times with my fictional friends. It was
Perfect.
great.
And then you joined the
So that,
NGSO, and now you have
and
real
now I have
friends.
real friends.
Yeah.
So true. Um, I would say my like gateway game, the game that got me into video games, would probably be Kingdom Hearts.
Okay.
Probably. Who am I trying to kid?
Hold on.
Yes, absolutely.
Kingdom Hearts isn't on this list of our agenda that you made, so you're not allowed to talk
I
about it.
I didn't include it. Wow, I'm
You
a
didn't include Kingdom
poser.
Hearts. But
Ew, I'm
yeah,
gonna write ew
tell
on
us
the
about Kingdom
agenda.
Hearts.
Okay, Kingdom Hearts came out in 2002 or 2003. I didn't probably play it till about 2004, 2005, so I was like late elementary school. The first game that we really got into, we being me and my siblings, we would all play games together. We had a PlayStation 1, we had the Game Boy Color Advance, and then we got the PlayStation 2. Kingdom Hearts kind of opened my eyes in a lot of ways. One, for games with amazing graphics, with voice acting, because with our Spyros and Crash Bandicoots on the PS1, it was more like grunting and woo! So having a cast really stuck with us. And it's like the perfect gateway because it's Disney, but
Yeah.
also Final Fantasy, which is like two completely different things. So we knew the Disney, we didn't know the Final Fantasy, but we wanted to know, so we researched into it because these were also like the dawning days of YouTube, which was a
Yeah.
fascinating time to be alive. So we were able to look up a lot of things, and then that's kind of how I got into Final Fantasy, which is my favorite franchise easily. But
Yeah,
how I got into Final
you've
Fantasy through
listed
there.
2 of these games on this list. So why don't you talk about some of your favorite Final Fantasy games?
Okay, easy. Final Fantasy X. Final Fantasy X was like the turning point in my gamer life, and stop me if I'm sounding corny, because I hate sounding corny.
No,
But
I'm gonna keep you going, sounding corny.
yeah, it kind of made me realize what video games could do in terms of storytelling and like character development and just emotion. Like the gameplay, I love the gameplay. Stop, turn-based combat, the best. Take your time, figure yourself out. I hate being rushed. So I'm super into that whole thing. You can see everyone's turn who's going to go on the side. It's like chess. It's like easier chess with anime people. It's the best.
Chess with
But
anime characters is definitely not a way I've ever heard a JRPG described before.
am
But
I
okay.
wrong?
I let's move on.
Okay. But the story and the characters of Final Fantasy X, I played it, I was probably 11. Um Mind blowing for me. The
Mhm.
depth of character and the highs and lows of victory and tragedy going through all these different events on their quest to get to the end um, totally blew me away. Forget about a video game, it just taught me what good storytelling can do.
Yeah.
How, even if the story, whether or not the story makes sense, which it's a Final Fantasy game, so we're not going to talk about it making sense, but just the way it portrayed its themes,
Yeah.
me as a young person was able to take all of that in, even with everything that was so convoluted. So that was definitely like that. I'm torn between Persona 5 and Final Fantasy X as like the favorite of my
Mhm.
children because I haven't played Final Fantasy X since 2015. I have to play it again soon. But that is definitely like the city on a hill for what video games are to me. Easy.
Yeah, when not all video games have to tell a story, but when they do and they can tell it really well, it's just such an interesting way to tell a story, to convey a plot, to show character growth and character development. You know, it rivals some of the best books that I've read. if I were to just put things up on like storytelling things, I could think of great video games just like I could think of great books, great musicals, great plays, all sorts of things. And so
Exactly.
like the fact that video games is up there on that list is a testament to just how good they can be when they decide to be. So what about the other Final Fantasy game on this list?
Let me look. Oh, I put Final Fantasy VII just because it was kind of recent and trendy right now. I have a crazy relationship with Final Fantasy VII, so I played Kingdom Hearts.
Right.
I met Cloud, whatever. I met Aerith, and I fell in love with her when I was like 9.
Completely
Who's
outside of the
this pretty
context of
girl?
the original game. You just fell in love with the flower girl. Wow.
Absolutely. So we started like looking into it and discovering Final Fantasy VII. And then in 2007, around the same year that Kingdom Hearts 2 came out, Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core came out.
Mhm.
And I did not have a PSP. I eventually attained one from my friend to play Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, but that wasn't until 2010. I never gave it back to her. But in 2007, I did not have a PSP yet. So I remember my sister and I sat in front of that cool new thing called YouTube, and we watched all the cutscenes in Crisis Core, 2.5 hours straight. It was over 3 hours, and we just
A lot of cutscenes.
watched all of Crisis Core.
Yeah.
We're like, wow,
So
what a game.
So I've played the original Final Fantasy VII, and I know there's a bunch of Final Fantasy VII like sequels slash spin-offs slash what have you. I know there's Advent Children, which I think is the movie. There's
Good movie.
Dirge of Cerberus, which I think is another game.
Bad game.
Bad game apparently. I know nothing about it. I've only played the original. What is what's it called? What is Crisis Core? Like what kind of game is it? What is it about? If you
Oh,
can give
it's
a
a
brief
prequel
synopsis.
game.
It's a
Easy.
prequel. Okay.
It's my favorite Final Fantasy character of all time, Zack Fair.
Okay.
It's a prequel game about Zack, who is the predecessor of Cloud and the previous owner of the Buster Sword that he eventually gives to Cloud. And it's about his story and how, spoilers, no spoilers, something happens to him. And then Final Fantasy VII starts right from there.
Okay.
But the funny thing about my Final Fantasy journey is watched all of Crisis Core, watched Advent Children, watched the anime OVAs, like read stuff about like the novels and the voice novels, whatever those are called, the voice dramas. Never played the game.
Never played the game until the remake came out.
Yes, so when Final Fantasy VII Remake came out, I was like, here it is. I know these characters so well in through so many different channels, and I was finally meeting them for the first time, how they were supposed to be met. And it was so fun. You have preconceived notions about characters, and then you're realizing what's right and what's wrong, and then what's an interpretation of the original, since it is a remake. I plan to play the remake. It's the next game in my queue. I'm playing Persona 3 right now.
You'll play the original next? Yeah. Okay.
Yes. So I'm playing Persona 3 right now, and then my goal is to play Final Fantasies 7, 8, and 10. But I have to play 7. I've consumed all this media and have never actually played the legit game. So I'm excited.
I will say that Final Fantasy VII is my favorite of the Final Fantasy games that I have played and beaten, which consists of 2 games, 7
What's the
and
other
6.
One? 6.
Yeah, the other one is 6.
Cool.
Which is a crowd favorite, but I won't get into my opinions of that because I'm not interviewing me. I'm interviewing you. So let's move on. Let's talk about the next 2 games on this list are games that you have wiped the floor with me playing.
Stop.
It wasn't even close. So which are these games?
It's basically Tetris. It's Tetris and a spin-off on Tetris. I went through a weird Tetris phase my sophomore year of college. I was in a suite of 9 girls, and it was 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, and 1, and I had a single to myself. I just sat in that room and I played. I lucked out. And I just sat in that room and I think I played Tetris 2 hours a day, every day.
Wow.
I got so good at Tetris. And I'm not that good in Tetris anymore. That was like, I peaked. That was my prime. I'll never be that good in Tetris again. But I've always really liked puzzle games. probably why I lean towards the more strategic JRPGs rather than the beat 'em ups.
Yeah.
Um, I think they're fun, so I love Tetris. I have Tetris Effect. It's super fun. I played like a real in college. I played a free like browser version of Tetris. I was late to an exam one time because I was playing Tetris, and I told
Ah.
my professor that was why, and he was just like, "Okay," and he was totally fine with it. Love that.
College professors are usually way more relaxed and way cooler than we ever heard about in high school. I'm sure you know the meme of like a high school teacher saying that won't fly in college, and then the college professor's like, I don't care. I don't care what you do.
Yeah, please bring a dozen donuts and eat them. It's fine. Like
As long as you bring one for
so,
me.
yeah, I really bonded with Tetris. And also, again, when I moved to Norwalk and I was by myself, Tetris, really great way to de-stress after a grueling day of work. You're literally putting the pieces of your life exactly where they're supposed to go, and it
Everything fits
is
neatly and in order. Yeah.
therapeutic to the max.
And then your
And
troubles
then,
disappear. They
yeah,
just
they literally clear themselves, and you get points. It's the best. Great
That's
metaphor
amazing.
for life. But one day I was going to visit my sister in the city, and I was on the train, and I was reading a Game Informer, and I saw an ad for this game called Puyo Puyo Tetris.
Right.
So when we got to her house, I told her, "Oh, let's try it." We downloaded the demo, and that was the end of me. I play that game all the time. So it's a mix of Tetris and Puyo Puyo, which is a Japanese puzzle game. It's kind of like Dr. Mario and some other thing. And it's two of the same colored dots, and you have to clear colors instead of lines and set them up in a way where you clear something and it drops to clear something else, and you have this chain reaction that gets you combos. So Puyo Puyo Tetris is a mix of both those games, and I'm not great at Puyo, but
You
I'm
are
good
better
enough,
than
and
anyone in the NGSO.
I'm good enough at Puyo, and then Tetris comes on, and I'm fine. So it's just the back and forth. But I really enjoyed that game. Just seeing a new kind of puzzle game was exciting for me.
Yeah, and I know you've invited me and several other NGSO members and several of your friends not in the NGSO over to do sort of tournaments of both this and Super Smash Brothers. And I can hold my own in Super Smash Brothers, but I can't Tetris and I can't Puyo.
Yes,
So
in the Gamer Orchestra tournament, I was not allowed to compete because it wasn't going to be fair when I had people over to my house a couple years ago. So I was the final boss. Whoever won the whole thing played me, and I won.
do you remember who your opponent was?
I don't. I do not
Wow.
remember.
Not even memorable. Not they didn't even make an impact on you.
Oh
It
no, that's
was
not what I
not even
meant.
it was
Stop.
that
That's not true. But okay.
All right. This next game on the list, I have no idea what this is. So you're gonna have to educate me on this.
This
What
is
is this
silly.
game?
I don't even know why I put this on. This is Unblock Me. It's a mobile app,
Okay.
and you just have all these bricks, and you have a little hole, and you have to move the bricks out of the way to get the red brick through the hole.
Oh, okay. I've played games like that before. Yeah,
Yeah,
those are fun.
it's a puzzle game, and I can just I think I beat the whole I beat all the puzzles, deleted it, and then a couple years later re-downloaded it and beat it again. It's just so boop 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 done. It's easy, it's fun, and it's puzzles, and I love puzzles.
Kind of sounds like your description of Tetris, right? You work out the tangles in your life, and then just everything works out, and you move on to the
Send it
next
on
thing,
its way.
and we're done. We don't think
Yeah.
about it. Well, cool. I don't know if I've played that app specifically, but I've played games like that before, and yeah, they're a lot of fun. So we got two more games in this list. The next game is one that I have also not played. Actually, of these games, I think I've technically played only three of them, and only because you let me play Puyo Puyo Tetris. But I digress. What's the next game on our list, and what do you like about it?
Tricky. This is for the PlayStation 2. It's actually a snowboarding racing game. And it's just super fun. It's one of those childhood games that we would play constantly. And we would go outside and pretend to be the characters and like play in the yard. So it's just a really nostalgic game for me. And it's super fun. And that franchise is bomb. SSX3 was also great. Um, it's snowboarding, but you could either race or do tricks. And the cool thing about SSX Tricky and the franchise of games is that you can take your feet out of the bindings and
Oh
do all
wow.
these like crazy snowboarding tricks. Um,
Okay. All
so
right.
like there's Simon. I can't. Wow, surprised I remembered this. Simon, who's this like goth snowboarder, he has this move called the guillotine, where he stands up straight in the air, spins the snowboard around his neck, and then puts it back on his feet and lands.
I want to say that's like a skateboarding move, and I only know that because I've played Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. But yeah, it's
There it
crazy
is.
that that you'll do that in a snowboarding game because let me tell you, as a snowboarder, no, you can't do that. It's not
Yes.
possible. But yeah, that
And
sounds
then
like a
there's
lot of
this
fun.
other guy, Eddie. He has you've probably seen me. He has the this one more Eddie. He has like the afro. He's like a disco guy.
Okay,
He gets off his snowboard, does the worm, and then gets back on his snowboard.
in midair,
Quality games in midair.
quality game.
Quality games, people. These games are the best.
I mean, it sounds like a lot of fun.
Yes.
Um,
And one more thing. I'm sorry. I know I ramble and ramble. That
this
song
is your interview.
Okay. That song that they play at like parties and clubs is it's tricky. It's tricky, tricky, tricky. It's speed to rock around your rock, whatever. You know that one?
I will say yes in all my experiences of going to clubs.
Oh no, that's so embarrassing. I
But
don't
I
really
think I
go to
know it.
clubs, but they like play it at like the 8th grade dance. They played it. And one time, I think I was at the 8th grade dance and I yelled, "This is the song from SSX Tricky." And it's not. It's just a normal song that they used in the game. And it was horrifically embarrassing.
Well, it's a good thing
That's
I've
all.
never been horrifically embarrassed. I just can't relate. I'm very sorry. But thank you for sharing that story with us.
Boo.
And so the last game on
Boo.
this list is Crash Bandicoot Team Racing. So I personally have never been a PlayStation owner. I've never played a Crash Bandicoot game, and I've never played Crash Bandicoot Team Racing. So what do you like about what do you like about this game? What do you like about this racing game?
Well, Crash was one of my first games. We had Crash Time Warp, and like I said before, we had Spyro and a lot of
Mhm.
other little games. We also had Tony Hawk for the PS1.
Okay.
So, Crash Team Racing was one of those games like people grew up with. You grew up with Mario, right? You had Mario Party, you had
We'll go with Mario. Yeah, I was a Zelda guy, but
Mario Kart. Yeah, but for like those party games
yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
sorts. I had Crash Team Racing and Shrek Super Party.
Okay,
Those
yeah,
were the PlayStation equivalents of those games. So Crash Team Racing was super fun. We had it for the PlayStation 1, and then they updated it for the PlayStation 2 where two players could share a cart and one person had like a turret. And my
interesting.
I have a twin brother. So we would do everything together. So that was like our game. We would switch back and forth. We were flying all over the place. It was great. My dog Penny, when we got her, actually ate that disc. So we didn't have
Oh,
the game for long for the PlayStation 2.
oh,
But it was fun when we had it. And as a
yeah.
punishment, my mom didn't get us another one. So I only played that game for like 2 months. But
as
good
as
memories.
as punishment to you, like what did you do? Did you like leave it out
We left the
so that
disc out. Yeah.
yeah, you got to take care of your
We
discs.
left it on top of the PlayStation. Nom
Well,
nom nom.
did you learn your lesson? Let's move on.
She ate a couple memory cards too. It was
Oh
bad.
no, the memory cards. I feel like I feel like they're not as valuable money wise, but as far as like worth, I feel like they're worth a
Your
lot more.
soul.
Your memories,
They're your soul.
yeah. All right. Well, let's get to what I'm imagining is going to be the meat of this interview. We've kind of danced around the topic a bit. We talked about music. We talked about video games. Let's talk about video game music. Kind of what we're here for. It's kind of what we're all about. So the other high pressure question that I've asked Mary, and I will be asking all of my guests, is to pick again some of their favorite pieces of video game music. And we have got a selection of 5 pieces of music. And I'd like Mary to introduce them, and then we're going to play a little bit. I'm going to fade it down as it plays, and we're going to talk about what we like about them. Maybe some of your memories from when it plays. And you can tell me about these because I only know 2 of these songs. So I'm looking forward to hearing about these. But what
And I
song
also want to know what you like about them when we listen.
exactly? Yeah. I mean,
As
I'm just
someone
gonna be
listening to
silent.
them out of context. No, as someone listening to them out of context, I think it'd be interesting to compare the two perspectives.
Yeah. All right. So what do we have first? What do we want to listen to first?
Okay. On the agenda, is this the order you have them in?
I have them in any order you want.
Okay, so I'm just gonna go with the order you have here.
Sure.
The first piece is from Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core,
Okay.
which I have already talked about. It's called "The Price of Freedom."
And it's
Oh,
by.
by Takaharu Ishimoto.
All right. So let's go ahead and listen to "The Price of Freedom." And let me know how the audio is so I can balance it.
Oh, good.
I'm gonna fade it down and let's talk about it as we listen to some more of it. In
Perfect
the background.
timing.
Yeah. That was really surprising. I thought it was going in one direction. When the electric guitar came in, I was very pleasantly surprised. So tell us a little bit about this piece.
A lot of things that people don't really think about when listening to video game music, because you're playing the game, it's in the background, you're going, you're in the moment, is the titles of the songs. And basically my favorite part, not my favorite part, but the coolest thing about the song to me is the title, The Price of Freedom. At the end of Final Fantasy Crisis Core, I won't spoil anything really, but Zack is trying to escape from somewhere. He's trying to free himself of whatever happened before, no spoilers, and he's getting out. And he runs into that final obstacle. And he's faced with all these soldiers, and he holds up his... And he's looking at them, and he holds up his sword, and he says, "The price of freedom is steep." Because he knows he's going to have to kill all these people to get out. And this song is called "The Price of Freedom." And you can kind of hear... It's upbeat, but it's also really solemn.
Yeah.
And sad.
Yeah, it's kind of got that determination, right? Of like, I'm not happy about what I have to do, but I have to do it. Yeah.
So, I've always loved that piece for it, and it's a simple piece, and it's a slower piece, but it still, like, pulls something out of you. In a very cool way, and also a really cool thing, since I wanted to bring up the Final Fantasy VII Remake, because it's so trendy right now, and we are so on point as an orchestra. There is a Zack reference of sorts at the end of the remake, and you hear the harmonica in the beginning of this song at the end of the game for the remake. And that's just like a cool way to tie his story into the remake story, because he's referenced here, and you kind of hear something that's associated with him in another game 12 years after his game came out. So I always thought that was a cool tie-in.
Yeah, this piece is really cool. I really enjoyed. It's a guitar-paced song, so I'm gonna like that as one of the resident guitar players of the orchestra. It's really kind of authentic acoustic guitar. Authentic is not the word I'm looking for. I guess heartfelt. You can tell like there's a lot of feeling. It's not necessarily a complicated song or a difficult song, but that doesn't mean it's a bad song. It's got feeling to it. It carries that
Mhm.
emotional weight, and even without knowing the context of the game, I could tell like this was this was either like a very relaxing piece, but then the electric guitar comes in and it's no longer really relaxing, or just that kind of quiet determination, like I have no other options before me, so this is the path I have to take, and it really communicates that
Price of
well. The price of
the
freedom.
price of freedom is steep.
It's freedom isn't free. Yeah. Um,
So good.
yeah, that's a really cool piece. Um,
I'm so happy you like it.
yeah,
Great.
I feel like I've liked all. I did preview some of the pieces or all the pieces, I guess, in order to embed them, and I feel like I liked all of them. But also, what kind of an
Yeah.
interview would it be if I said like, "Yeah, your favorite piece of video game music is garbage"? No, I'm not gonna do that.
Then we could have a productive conversation.
No, I'm not about productivity. I'm not working.
Boo.
This is for fun. All right, let's talk about the next piece. What do you want to share with the stream, the recording, the not really podcast? What do you want to share next?
Okay, I'm gonna go to the second one on the agenda, and then I'm gonna skip around.
Okay.
So the next one is from Final Fantasy IX. This is I've always loved this piece, and I don't know why, because it's like a minute and a half long, and it's really simple. This is Gargan Rue from Final Fantasy IX, and it's by one of my boys who I love, Nobuo Uematsu.
Yeah, one of the pillars
Let's
of video
listen.
game orchestration for sure. So let's listen to Gargan Root. All right, I'm assuming that's a looping point, so I can
That's the loop, yeah.
turn it down a little bit and talk about it. All right, so tell me about Gargan Root before I share my thoughts.
So,
Unless you want me to share first.
yes. Actually, you share first. I'm curious.
So I haven't played Final Fantasy IX. I haven't heard this in context, but it reminds me very much of, especially some pieces in Final Fantasy VI, which play during these, not necessarily light-hearted or not serious times, but maybe just a little bit tongue-in-cheek. Something a little bit goofy is going on. It is not. It's not typical music, if that makes any sense. It's a little bit goofy. It jumps around. It's got kind of these funny sounding instruments, but it's catchy and it's fun and it kind of gets you in a mood like, I'm ready for some silliness. I have no idea if that's accurate to how it's used in the game, but that's what it makes me think of.
But you're so right. You're not, but I agree with you I agree with your interpretation of it, because that's totally true. It totally sounds like something like that.
Mhm.
I haven't played Final Fantasy IX in a couple years, so everyone will be correcting me in the chat or comments or wherever, but I'm pretty sure Gargan Rue it's a place. It's an underground mine, and your
Okay.
party is escaping something or getting somewhere, and you have to get through Gargan Rue to get to wherever you have to go. And I remember playing it, and either something really somber or really serious or like life threatening happened, and then this like crazy music starts playing, and I'm stuck in a mine, and I was like, "What's going on?" And I've
Hmm.
always really liked that piece because it's very simple. It's only a couple instruments, but they do really cool layering.
Hmm.
Like you have the motif once, and then it's the second time around, but they add an additional voice, and I feel like it changes it up in a really dynamic way, and it's
Yeah.
very harsh. And when
Hmm.
you think of Final Fantasy music, a lot of the times you're thinking of, Xanarkand or something beautiful and graceful. And the opening chords of this just punch you in the face. And I think
Yeah.
that's dope.
It's just kind of like a flashy. I would almost describe it as sassy like this 2-chord vamp was just, yep, this is what it is. We ain't beautiful, but we are what
Mhm.
we are.
Yes, exactly. Perfect for grounding around in a mine underground. I thought it
Yeah.
fit. I also picked it because I thought it fit the setting really well.
Okay.
And
Yeah, it
yeah,
does. It does kind of, now that you mention it, it does kind of have that sort of earthy feel of like a mine. Um, so yeah, it works. All right. So that was Gargan Rue from Final Fantasy IX. What do you want to play next? You said you wanted to jump around a bit, so there's 3 left.
yeah.
Choose wisely.
Okay. Yes, we're gonna go with. So I have two Kingdom Hearts pieces and a Persona 5 piece. So I'm gonna splice the Kingdom Hearts pieces with Persona
Okay.
5. So I'm gonna do Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2.
All right.
Um,
And which piece is
this
this?
piece, this is Shion's theme by Yoko Shimomura, another fantastic composer. And I want to talk about this piece, but we have to listen to it first, so I'll wait.
All right. So this is Shion's theme from Kingdom Hearts 358 Days Over 2. Let's take a listen. I'm going to fade it down here. This is Shion's theme from Kingdom Hearts 358 Days Over 2. I haven't played the Kingdom Hearts games, but I feel like I've watched a lot of them, and I still don't know what's going on. So
You're not missing much.
yeah, I know you've been disappointed with it since the latest game in the series, but this is a really nice piece. This is the same kind of deeply emotional music that I think of from certain Final Fantasy games. It actually reminds me a lot of the other Kingdom Hearts piece that you're going to share with us. I don't know if it has a similar chord structure or if it's just sort of the same sort of emotional material, but you can tell that this is about, a tragic character. And I know a little bit about Shion, if she's the character I'm thinking of. And hers is also, definitely a tragic story. So tell me, what do you like about Shion's theme, and what made you decide to share it with the stream?
I mean, you basically summed it up. Shion is a very tragic character in the games. You start 358 Days Over 2 and you know the end. You know what's going to happen. And you know going into the game it's a tragedy. So everything that unfolds throughout the game, good or bad, you already know the end result and you know who you're gonna lose and what's gonna happen. So the dramatic irony in that game is amazing, and this song is just so beautiful, and it really just encapsulates her tragic character. And one of the greatest things about Yoko Shimomura as a composer, when she's working within longer games or franchises, one, she's just a goddess, like she's so good. But two, she takes her musical motifs and she plays around with them everywhere. So you have the main motif in Shion's theme, which is played by the violins, and then like the weird like synthy thing in the beginning, and you hear it in different songs throughout the game to kind of remind you that Shion's still there or not anymore. And it's that motif is a constant haunting reminder everywhere you go about what's going to happen to her. And it's just, I mean, you heard it. It's a beautiful piece. It's really sad. And one of the coolest things about the Kingdom Hearts music is, I mean, the first one is it's all really good. And it has great brand recognition. Like when I was playing Kingdom Hearts 3, I knew which character was coming on screen before they appeared because their theme started playing. And that's really hard to do. Like I knew Shion was coming 3 minutes before she even showed up because I heard that motif.
Yeah.
And I knew she was on her way. So just being able to, like I said, for a Crisis Core, you don't have the names of the pieces in front of you when you're playing. You're not like, Shion's theme, and then you're taking notes. Like, to be able to put that kind of mental recognition in a player without them even realizing it, I think is just good storytelling and great composition.
Yeah.
So Shion's theme is really good, and there's a version of it that I wanted to show the original, but there's this boss battle version of it in Kingdom Hearts 3 that rules.
Do you know what the track title of that boss version is?
No, but guess who can find out right now? It's me.
Yeah, on a slightly technical level, was this game a Game Boy Advance game or a DS game?
This was it was the one with the touchpad with the pen.
Okay, so a Nintendo DS.
Yeah.
You can tell that like the samples are a little bit dated at this point, but still, you know, to be able to kind of break past that limitation and make a very emotional piece is super impressive. At the same time, I would love to hear a piece, or a version of this with maybe real instruments or at least updated kind of samples or synthetic instruments.
Yeah, and they have a lot of those covers and remakes, and I've seen the Kingdom Hearts Orchestra, and they play it amazingly in concert. But I also kind of like the almost 8-bittiness of the original.
Yeah,
I think
you gotta appreciate where it comes from.
Yeah, that's why I included this version, and not the orchestrated version from Kingdom Hearts 3, because just like the rawness of it is really cool.
Yeah. Did you get a track title on that boss theme that we could recommend to people?
It doesn't really have one. It's oh wait, no, it does. The answer is I didn't. Give me a couple more seconds.
All right. Well,
I'll post it later. I don't remember.
We'll share it in the show notes. I don't know who's taking show notes, and I don't know where we're putting them, but we'll share it there. So you said we're gonna bracket the Kingdom Hearts games around the Persona 5 song. So I feel like I know what you're going to. I feel like I know what you're going to introduce, but why don't you introduce it?
Yes, this is one of the coolest battle themes ever. This is Last Surprise from Persona 5 by Shoji Meguro.
All right. As much as I just want to listen to that track at full volume the whole time, let's talk about it. This is another game that I haven't played, but who doesn't know Last Surprise from Persona 5? And it deserves its fame. This is, I believe, as the kids say, a bop. This slaps. It's a jam. It's so good. It's I say this all the time about Persona 5. Even without playing it, it's just dripping with style and like confidence. And this song is a great, pardon the pun, personification of that. It's style. It's confident. It's cool. And it knows it. Listen to that bass line. Listen to those confident vocals. Listen to the violins just like seamlessly mixing in with the instruments. This is like a 10 out of 10 song. If a 10 out of 10 song exists, this is it. Here it is. I love this song. Tell me what you love about Last Surprise.
Anything else to really say? You took the mic, Cannon. You got it on point. I mean, this is a great song. It's also a pun. It was super surprising for me. Last Surprise. I didn't know what to expect when I was playing Persona 5. My friend was just like, try this game, think you'll like it. Changed my life.
Yeah.
But I didn't expect vocals, I didn't expect acid jazz, and basically to kind of sum up the whole piece, I played over 300 hours, definitely over 3 hours, over 300 hours of Persona 5 and Persona 5 Royal. And when I was playing, I played 200 hours so of Persona 5, and my fiance said, can you switch the battle feed? Don't you get sick of it? And I said no. And I was listening to it for 200 hours. And that is how you know when you have a good song.
Yeah. Somehow, there are a lot of battles in this game, and somehow it doesn't get old. People are mentioning there's a slight echo in the music. I'm gonna have to look at that for the next interview we do. I feel like I know why it's happening, and I'll fix it later, guys. We'll fix it in post. By which I mean we'll fix it for the next interview. We're not gonna fix this one.
Okay.
But yeah, it just really, really good song. Really fun to listen to. I listen to several people, several groups who do covers of this. I know a ton of Twitch streamers use samples of this song for like their alerts. So when the chorus started playing, I immediately thought like, oh, someone just followed the channel. So
right.
Very, very memorable, very iconic, very just good even without the context. But even in the context, high energy song gets you really pumped up for a battle. And like you mentioned, it's a track with vocals, and there are not many video game tracks with vocals. And unfortunately, some of the ones that do have vocals are pretty bad. But this is not an example of that. This is really good, like natural sounding vocals. And
yeah,
it's really
amazing.
fun.
She does all the vocals in this song, and it's so amazing. And this whole game has a really good theme. All the music is like this. It's all jazzy. It's all jazzy acid rock. Like the bass line's killer. Everything's great. And just a shout out to Shoji Meguro, who is a champ. I only know him from the Persona games, P3, P4, and P5. The music in all three of those games is amazing, and they're all like thematically different. Like P5 is more jazzy, P4 is more like J-rock, like J-rock pop, and P3 is like beatbox rapping, like hip-hop R&B stuff. Yeah. And it all came from the same guy, and it's all super good. It's like, you're not allowed to be that good at that many things.
Just an embarrassment of riches as far as talent goes. It's just not.
Yeah, he's an extremely versatile composer who takes me away with everything I've heard from him. So keep it up, man. You're the bomb.
Doing a good job. All right. Let's move on to the final piece we're going to share tonight before we get into the last section of this interview. I was doubting that we'd go an hour, and yet here we are. But yeah.
I told you.
You did tell me. I should have listened. Tell us about our last piece. What are we going to listen to next?
Okay, so we're back to Kingdom Hearts, my gateway drug to gaming. And this is literally the gateway song to the Kingdom Hearts series. This is the main menu theme. We're using the version today from Kingdom Hearts 2, and this is Dearly Beloved by Yoko Shimomura.
All right, let's listen to Dearly Beloved. I mean, there's not much you can say about this piece. It's an incredibly simple piece, and yet so effective at setting that melancholy but beautiful mood. You can't get much more simple than just like a descending line of single piano notes, and yet it tugs at your heartstrings so much. Um, I don't know about you, but I was tearing up a little bit listening to this, and for some reason, even without playing this game, this piece can evoke that emotion in me. Um, Whether it's this version or the original version or any version that I've heard, it's an incredibly powerful piece that is it's deceptively powerful if you just look at sort of the musical content of it. So I've always loved this piece and I continue to love it now. What do you love about this piece?
I mean, it holds a lot of memories for me as a kid booting up this game, booting up every Kingdom Hearts game. This is the main theme. This is the main menu theme in every single Kingdom Hearts game. And there's 14 Kingdom Hearts games. And she has rearranged and reimagined this piece 14 times. And there are jazzy ones, there are like tropical ones, like there's every genre, and which
Mhm.
is so, I mean, she's the best. But this one from Kingdom Hearts 2, you can hear the waves in the beginning. You're on Destiny Island. You're trying to get Sora home, and it's really beautiful. And it's called Dearly Beloved because he's looking for someone. The whole game. I mean, that's all Sora does is just look for people and never find them. And you're 14 games in,
Yeah.
but he's just always trying to find his dearly beloved, and over again, just like how you hear the theme over and over again, you're just trying to accomplish that one goal. And again, like I said with Shion's theme, the amazing thing about Yoko Shimomura is how she plays around with motif throughout
Mhm.
her games. And you just don't hear this in the main menu. At every like pinnacle moment in the game, you will hear a couple bars of Dearly Beloved. Over 14 games, this piece just follows you through and through and through over 15, 18 years of gaming. And every time you hear it, you know something special is about to happen because it's that special of a piece.
Yeah.
I was reading an interview with her once, and she has written for Mega Man, she has written for Street Fighter, and when asked what her favorite piece was that she's ever written, she answered with Dearly Beloved.
Yeah, and gosh, the pieces to Mega Man that she's contributed and the pieces to Street Fighter that she's contributed are not like they're not lightweights. They're not bad music. Those are great pieces, but yeah, just thinking about them in comparison to it's probably bad for me to pick favorites, but if I had to, yeah, it would be this track, and it would be this kind of feeling. And again, just all of that with such a simple like if you look at the sheet music and you know how to read sheet music, it's probably dead easy. It's probably dead simple, but there's so much emotion poured into every note that it doesn't seem that
Mhm.
way. All right, well
Like
that's
people waited. Well, one more thing. I know. I'm sorry.
go ahead.
People waited 12 years for Kingdom Hearts 3, and they put in the game, and they heard the new arrangement of Dearly Beloved after waiting for it so long. Grown men were crying. I watched videos of people crying listening to the new version of Dearly Beloved because it's just such a coming home to the franchise. When I slapped that game in for the first time last year, I sat and I listened to the whole thing in silence, and my roommate was like cooking in the kitchen. And I was like, "Shh, I'm watching the main menu."
Stop that
Like,
sizzling.
so it's just one of those things that it's what I'm trying to say is it's not just me.
Yeah,
Everyone loves this piece.
yeah.
It's really
And
important.
it's worth it. It's worth loving. All right, so that is the last piece of music that we wanted to share. Obviously, you have many more pieces that you like. I actually there's a point earlier today where you were sending me pieces, and I had to be like, all right, hold on, you've shared like 7 of these, and we don't have the time to share all of them. But again, low pressure. Those are just some of your favorite pieces of video game music. And maybe if we do repeats, we'll get to hear a new set of 5, and we get to talk about those. But let's move on to what we've planned for the final section, what we are calling the instrument petting zoo. So, this is a separate idea that the NGSO has had for a very long time. Ever since we did a concert or performance at the Multiverse Expo, we had the idea of doing this instrument petting zoo where we could kind of show off our instruments. And in that case, we were thinking about maybe letting kids play the instruments, like, here, this is how you pluck a guitar string or what have you. For various reasons, it didn't happen, and then we kept talking about it for a long time, and it still hasn't happened. So now we're going to do the digital version of the instrument petting zoo. I have no idea how the sound quality is going to be, but we're going to do it live. So, Mary, what instrument are you going to be showing off of the six that we discussed at the beginning of the show?
I should. Well, I have my here are my vocal cords. Aren't they beautiful? I can't let
They
you
look
touch them though. It'd
wonderful.
be a very
Yeah,
weird petting zoo.
that's not. They're
I
not.
could have brought. Yeah, I could have brought over my castanets and stuff and my piccolo. Unfortunately, my flute has been in the shop for eternity, and I don't have it yet.
Yeah.
My flute is like my child, and not having it is sad. But I didn't want to bring out my piccolo because again, I can't play it here because I have neighbors with young children, and it's
Yeah.
past 8 o'clock at night.
It would
So
get very
I
high
have
pitched, and frankly, from a technical perspective, it probably wouldn't sound very good over this kind of microphone. But
definitely. So instead, I have the tenor recorder,
all right, cool.
which I might have to stand up for you to be able to actually see the whole thing. I'm in
Yeah.
pajama pants. I hope you don't see them. Um,
No, we're good. Just the Persona 5 shirt. All
okay.
right. So I see a lever down near the bottom. I see some holes and some white bits, and then I see a mouthpiece. Yeah.
Yes. So this instrument is actually Sam's. He bought the recorders for the recorder ensemble and he's lent them out to the players. So I've had this bad boy for about a year. It's in 3 parts. It has the tail joint, which is not what it's called. Um, the body, and then the head joint, which is definitely what it's called. Wow, I can't
Cool.
move it.
Huh.
There it is. Okay. So it's in 3 points. It's so big that it's hard because everything's black. But
Mm,
it requires, you can kind of see it off my face if I go like that. It requires a thumb rest to be
okay.
able to hold it up because it's not heavy, but it's very awkward. I have small hands, so I kind of need it to be able to keep my balance on it.
Yeah.
When we were picking out recorders, Sam was like, we got a group of people who were interested, and Sam was like, which one are you interested in? Which one do you want to play? And from playing the flute for so long and being on the higher end of the register, I really wanted to experiment being on the lower side. And the bass was just, I can barely hold this. The bass was just too big for me. So I picked the second lowest voice in our recorder ensemble just because I wanted to try something new and get a unique experience out of an instrument.
Yeah. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about how it works? I have very little to no like musical education in my background. I never really played a classical instrument. So I know that that's a wind instrument because you blow air into it, and that's as far as I get. So why don't you tell us a little bit about maybe how this works, maybe what some of the holes do, where you place your fingers, things like that.
Okay, so a lot of people have played a smaller version of this in kindergarten through 3rd grade. It is the cool thing about it is basically your elementary school recorder. It is just much bigger and has a much deeper sound. So as you imagine, like with any elementary school recorder, think back to your childhood days. There's a place for your thumb on the back. Of course, not convenient that it's all black and you can't see anything. And then you have hollow holes for each of your fingers down the body of it. And those you cover up to get different tones out of the recorder when you start to blow sound into it. These levers down here are for where your pinky would go on a regular recorder. It would go around here. This recorder is so big that you can't reach it. So it has 2 little levers that you can use to get to those lower notes with your pinky just to help you out.
Okay, so like half cover and wholly cover whatever holes down there.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
Well, cool.
Yes.
Why don't you if you were willing, why don't you play maybe the lowest note you can play, the highest note you can play, and then just like a simple scale. Um
Um,
just to see what it
I
sounds
should have warmed up.
like.
So let's try it. Let me know if you. We didn't even practice this. Let me know if you can even hear it.
Yeah, we heard most of that. It cut out a little bit, but we heard the tone surprisingly clearly, at least the lowest note,
Okay.
and then we heard part of the scale. Um, but yeah, that's what a tenor recorder sounds like. And then I wrote down here one of the questions I wanted to ask was, "What is the history of your instrument, if you know?" And you answered, "Not about my instrument historically, but about my instrument personally. Will tell a tale."
What?
So
Why are you?
tell me the tale. Tell me a tale.
Okay, it's not. I don't even remember the tale, but I just wanted to talk about again how much I love my flute. When I was a kid, apparently I was in pre-K. I don't remember this. I went up to my mom and I said, I want to play the flute. Why? I don't know. No idea. So she started me on the recorder in kindergarten, and then when my hands were big enough, I got my first flute in the second grade. And I just wanted to tell that tale. Thanks for blowing up my spot. Because there was something that I responded to with the flute at such a young age that when I didn't even know what an instrument was, I asked my mom for one.
Hmm.
And then, but in the second grade, when I didn't even remember asking for a flute, I just kept saying, when can I get the flute? When can I play the flute? I know my fingerings, I can read the notes. And I just spent my baby years just waiting to get my first flute. And I wish I knew what that like turning point was when I guess when I was an infant and I saw the flute and I wanted one. Like what was I don't even know what I was doing. But it's just it's my flute has been my whole life. I the first thought of a flute when I was 3, 4,
Hmm.
and now I'm 26. And my favorite thing about music is that you can literally have it forever. And I think
Hmm.
that's great.
The flute that you have now that is currently in the shop, is that the first flute you've ever owned?
No, I still have the first flute I ever owned though. So I got a beginner flute in the second grade,
Okay.
obviously, and I had that from second grade to junior year of high school. And then junior year of high school, I got a professional grade open hole flute. So I've had that for again. It's been another 10 years. I've been playing the flute for. I'm old. I've been
Oops.
playing the flute for 20 years. So
Wow.
I guess if I'm going by every 10 years, I'm due for another flute. But I at least have to get mine back from the shop first.
We'll lead a quest to go fetch it. Um, well,
Mm.
okay, that is the end of my questions. If anyone who is watching this live wants to ask any questions, feel free. While we possibly get any of those questions, Mary, is there anything else that you want to talk about? Whether you want to expand further on anything that we've talked about already, or whether there's a topic that you wanted to hit that we didn't already. Any closing thoughts or final words?
Well, first, I want to apologize for constantly cutting you off because I kept having things to say. I have a podcast, so I'm just used to talking all the time. So I'm very sorry. I was like, wait, wait, wait. And I was just being annoying. So my bad. Um, Also, I'm just really grateful to be a part of this group. Like I said, I know I'm not very, Discord freaks me out, so I'm not on the Discord a lot. But I just really enjoy the different fusion of all the people there. I enjoy making new friends. I love the social activities we do. I think we're a really great group of musicians and of people. And last year I was like, man, now that I have friends, I didn't have a lot of time after work. And if it was between one band and the other, I was like, maybe I should cut a band, and it was not going to be this one
Yeah.
because this is the band that like I truly feel at home with. So I'm just very grateful that you guys let me in, even though you didn't. I just showed up. So thanks.
We let you keep coming. We haven't asked you to stop coming yet. Lexi asks, "How did you decide on the flute?"
I don't remember.
Yeah,
That's the story.
I
I
think
don't
you mentioned that in the
remember.
story. Lexi, go back 20 minutes. It wasn't 20 minutes ago, but
No. I
um,
um I just remember asking for one. I don't remember why.
yeah. Uh,
Let's see. I totally forgot about the chat. Now I have to read back through this and like freak out.
well,
What's the weirdest flute? Oh, I this is a good question. What's the weirdest flute you've played on? So, really weird. In between my junior and senior year of college, I interned at the Fairfield Museum and History Center in Fairfield, Connecticut, and I got to play like a classic wooden fife.
Wow.
and it was cool. I played Yankee Doodle at an
Of course you
event
did.
on the classic wooden fife, and it was so interesting because it's very similar, but all the fingerings were different because it's tonally different and size wise
Hmm.
it's different. So, but I can say like playing like wooden instruments is super cool. Of course, the flute and the piccolo are basically the only two woodwinds that require no wood,
Hmm.
along with all the other versions of the flute. I see you, Rachel. So, playing actual wooden instruments is very cool. So,
Yeah.
I should play weirder flutes, but if someone has a weird flute, you're not just like, give it to me. So,
You don't just walk up to strangers and ask them, "Do you have any strange flutes? May I
yeah,
have them?"
right.
Not for keeps. I just want to play a few notes.
I want to learn the ocarina, not because of
Hmm.
Legend of Zelda, because I want to cosplay as the girl from the Pokemon 2000 movie that plays the Donna Summer song on the ocarina.
But I would ask you to learn all of the Zelda pieces.
Yes, but
That's why
how
I
cool
want to
would that
learn.
be? Like
That would be cool.
the, the girl in the Pokemon movie has the ocarina with like the turn thing, and it's like a conch shell. Ugh, I'm such a nerd. It's so
I
cool.
actually haven't seen that movie, so I don't know to whom you're referring to, but it sounds cool.
It's the
Uh,
one with Lugia. Movie night coming up.
Unite.
That's a good one.
All right. Well, I don't see any other questions in the chat. I've run out of things to talk about. The one thing I want to ask, I don't know if you're willing to do this. Would you be interested in plugging your podcast?
Oh, okay. Yeah, why not? I'm really bad at self promotion. So I am a gamer, but like I said, with me holding up a volume of Rurouni Kenshin on a gamer thing, which is fine. I am a weeb first. So I have an anime podcast with my twin brother. It's called Anime Double Play. Get it? Because we're twins. And you can find us on wherever you listen to podcasts. We're on Google Play. We're on Spotify. We're on SoundCloud. We're probably on the Apple one. I don't really know what it's called, but every
Just
week or
Apple
every other
Podcasts, I
week
think.
now. Oh, okay. Every week or every other week. Now that we're in quarantine, things are a little messy. But we have a topic of the week. We talk about what we've been watching. We talk about current anime events. Every once in a while, I convince him to do a music episode. He is hit or miss on those, but I usually dominate anyway. He's actually been pretty busy. I should do a solo anime music episode.
There you go. There's an idea.
Thank you for the idea. But yeah, if you're interested in anime, we also talk games, or we have a Discord for that as well. So if you just want to hang out with some cool peeps at Anime Double Play, you can look us up on Twitter and contact me there, and I'll give you all the info you would ever need.
So if you're looking for a weekly or bi-weekly or every other weekly, whatever the correct term is, if you're looking for a discussion on anime by fun people and a small but always growing community of anime fans, go check out Anime Double Play. That's it. This went way better than I could have ever hoped for. So, Mary, thank you for being a guinea
Great.
pig and a first guest. We're going to be back in roughly 2 weeks. Probably not the same day and probably not the same time, but just keep an eye on my personal Twitter, Canon11, or on the NGSO Discord. We'll have to find some way to publicize these, but we're going to be back. I've got a couple other people who are signed up, and I'm hoping now that
Oh,
yeah, yeah.
we have the Instagram, but I forgot to post on the Instagram because I was setting up for it.
All
I'll
right,
post on
so
the Instagram next time. We have an Instagram.
yeah, follow us on
Damn.
Instagram if you want to get more news about this. I think 4 other people have signed up and shown interest. I'm hoping that now that we have a successful example under our belts, that we'll get a flood of other people. But yeah, look forward to the next guest. I have yet to confirm who that is, so I won't promise anything. But everyone in the NGSO is awesome, so I can promise that it's going to be a great time. Mary, once again, thanks for joining me. Everyone who's watching this live, thank you for being here. Everyone who's watching this on YouTube, thanks for taking some time out of your day and learning a little bit more about the Norwalk Gamer
Ooh.
Symphony Orchestra. Our website is down in the corner, down in that direction below Mary over there. So if you're interested in finding out more about us, go ahead and go to norwalkgso.org. We've got info there if you wanted to join us, if you're in the Norwalk, Connecticut area, or if you just wanted to listen to some of our pieces that we've done, listen to some of our concerts that are on YouTube, find out some more about us. All of that's there. All that's on the website. So this has been Mary. I'm Gannon, and we're going to sign off. Thank you so much. Have a great night, everyone. Bye.